So once again, hello guys and welcome back to another of our classes. In this class, we are gonna start the extraction of the data that we want, that we need for our database analysis. So once again, here is our database, and the first thing that we wanted to do with all this is doing the basic extraction. So the first thing we wanted to do is finding out what is the number of men versus what is the number of women in this database. So the way you can proceed is you can work on a separate sheet, so on another sheet, or you can directly work on the database sheet. It doesn't really matter. The important part is really for you guys to get to get the answer to all our questions that we asked here. So as I said, the first question that we are going to answer is the number of men versus the number of women. So what we will do, you will see it's really simple. And as I said, you really have to think outside of the box when you are doing this type of analysis. Our goal here is not to count it one by one. So it's really to be able to generate something that will help us make the calculation way easier. All right. So the first thing we will do is simply take those two cells, and those two cells will be our calculation for the men versus women. Alright, so the way we are going to proceed, we'll have this row that will be for men and this row that will be for women. So right now, the first question we're gonna ask ourselves, if here we have men, what will return there? So let's say, for example, here we have men. We'll simply ask Excel to return us 1. So how we write this down? Simply equal, and we'll write a simple if function. So if this value right here equals men, we will ask Excel to return 1. In the other case, we'll ask Excel to return 0. And as you can see, here we have women, so it's 0. And in the other case, well, it's 1. On the opposite, we'll do the exact opposite thing for a woman. So in the cell next to our men cell, so simply write it down, it's gonna be easier. So here we have men, here we have woman. All right, we'll write down the exact same thing. So if here this cell is equal to woman, we will return 1. In the other case, we'll return 0. And we simply click on enter. So as you can see, each time that this cell generates men, here we will see a 1. And each time that this cell generates woman, here we'll have 1. So the next thing we'll do is simply drag it down till the end. Alright. Then, when we have all this, we can calculate the number of men and women. So we'll write down our answer right here. So what we'll do, we'll simply insert more cells. All right. Number of men, and here number of women. Right, so the number of men is simply the sum of all those cells. So you simply make the sum of all those cells and click on enter. As you can see, we have 248 men, and simply copy paste, we have 265 women. So we find that out, we answered our first question, which is the number of men versus the number of women. Alright. Next thing we want to do is find out what is the average age of our population right here. So simply put all this in one tab. So we'll put it like this. Then the next question, average age. All right. So how do we calculate the average age? Very simple. We simply go back to our age and we make the average of all those cells that are here. So simply select all the cells with the age. When it's done, simply click on enter. Here we go. So the average age is 34.81. So once again, it's in numbers. You have to convert it in years. So what we'll want to do now is really put it, let's say, in a complete number. So it's gonna be 35 years. If we want our average age in years, so we have our average age, sorry, in years. All right. So next question that we want to ask is the number of each profession. So how many healthcare workers we have, how many, let's say, teachers we have, how many, well, from each profession we have of persons. So this technique that we are going to use is the exact same thing that we used for man versus woman. So we simply will do the exact same thing. So in this case, we'll find out all the education types that exist, and what we'll do, we'll simply write it down. So we have technical, we have health, we have agriculture, we have IT, we have construction and general work. All right. So the first thing we are doing right now, we simply put all our names right here, and we'll use the exact same technique. So we simply will write down our if function. So if this cell is equal to teaching, generate 1. If not, generate 0. So your formula should look something like this. Alright, so as we can see, we have 0 here. Well, the first one was technical. Alright, second cell for health, the exact same thing. So if this cell equals health, generate 1. If not, generate 0. And we close our tab. So as you can see, we have 1 because the cell here is health. Next is agriculture. So we write down the same thing. If this cell is equal to agriculture, we will generate 1. In the other case, we'll generate 0. Next is for IT. So we can simply copy it come back here and change agriculture by IT. Can do the same thing for construction. And the last one will be general work. All right. So right now we have all our numbers, so all our 1 and 0s. The next thing we want to do is calculate what is the amount of each of them. So what is the amount of teachers? So here is teaching. So what is the amount of teachers, people in teaching? What is the amount of health, agriculture, IT, and construction? So what we'll do is simply the exact same thing. We'll just copy all this and paste it there. And we'll just change the name. So it's gonna be number of education, health, then agriculture, IT, construction, and finally general work. Perfect. So as I said, we'll simply calculate the sum of each of those. So what we'll do is I will simply change the formula here. So as you can see, I calculate the sum of the first one for teaching. So I have my number of teachers. Then I can simply copy and paste it. And it will give me the number, well, it will give me how much for each of them, because Excel will automatically adapt to my formula. So that's the number for each profession. To calculate the area, we are going to do the exact same thing. Once again, I'm not going to do it directly once again with you. I accept you to do it by yourself, because once again, you simply do the exact same thing. Next thing, when I calculate the average income. So how do we calculate the average income? It's gonna be done the same way as we calculated the average age. And from here, we want to calculate the average income. So what do we write down? Average. We go on our tab with income, which is here, and we simply select the whole tab. Then we click on enter. And as you can see, guys, we have our average income, which is of, in our case, $58,947. Once again, you should have something similar to this. It's normal that we don't have the same thing because we use random numbers. So you don't have the same random numbers as I do. All right. The next thing I want to calculate is the average value of one car. What does it mean? It means how much one car is worth for each citizen. So in this case, for example, in our first case, we have a person that has 3 cars, and those 3 cars have a value of, in this case, 100,000, 150,475. Sorry. So that's the value for 3 cars. So logically, the value of one car is this amount, well, the car value amount, divided by the number of cars, which will give us around $50,000 per car in the case of this person. So what we'll do this same calculation. So the first thing we want to find is the car value of each citizen. So each citizen has a car, and what's the value of one car for each citizen? So we'll do this calculation for the cars. So let's take the first, for example, the first citizen. We'll take his or she's car values, and we'll divide it by the number of cars. So as you can see, we have the car value of one car. We'll simply drag everything down. And it's amazing. We have the value of one car, the value of one car for each citizen. So what we want to do now is simply put it in dollar. It will look a bit more greater. And the last thing we want to do is simply calculate the average of this amount. Then the formula we will write here is equal average and this row. So as you can see, it gives us something like this. So the average value of one car is $28,441. So as you can see right now, we calculated the average value of one car. The next thing we want to find out is the number of persons with debts that are higher than a certain number. So how do we make this calculation? So the first thing, we want to know what exactly we will use. So in this case, we will use the value of debt. So we want to know what is so as I said, we want to know what is the number of persons that has debts that are higher than a certain number.